The distant stars shone like scattered diamonds in the velvet black of space. Among them, the human colony of Arden 9 glimmered faintly, a small cluster of lights on a pale blue planet, untouched by most of the galaxy. It was the kind of place that seemed ordinary at first glance. But to the Vorin, a species known across the stars for their precision, logic, and extreme caution, Arden 9 was an enigma. Inside their sleek spacecraft, the Vorin crew hovered silently over the planet. They were tall, with skin the color of deep sky, smooth and reflective, and multiple eyes that glimmered like polished glass. Each movement they made was deliberate, calculated, and careful. The Vorin communicated in soft harmonics, subtle vibrations that humans would never hear. To them, chaos was a mistake, unpredictability a flaw, and emotion, especially uncontrolled emotion, a dangerous anomaly. Yet here they were, observing humans. "Why do they scream at each other so loudly?" asked Xylar, a senior observer, his four eyes narrowing at a cluster of humans running across a field. "Their voices. It is almost painful to the senses." "They are not in pain," replied Lorvin, the ship's science officer. "They seem entertained. They are performing some ritual they call sport. Observe their movement patterns. Illogical yet effective." The humans darted across the field, chasing a spherical object. Their motions were uneven, some tripping over each other, some running at unexpected speeds. They shouted and laughed. Occasionally, one human would leap higher than expected, catching the object before anyone else could. Xylar tilted his head. "Insane. That is the only word that fits their behavior. No logical species would risk injury for, what, for joy?" Lorvin's appendages fluttered slightly. "Perhaps their joy provides them with strength. Efficiency is not always predictable. They may possess abilities that logic cannot explain." The Vorin had come to Arden 9 to study humans in secret. Their mission was purely observational. Contact had been forbidden. The last reports from other planets where humans had settled were confusing. Some humans were praised for ingenuity, others feared for recklessness. The Vorin intended to gather data before any judgment. From orbit, the planet looked peaceful, serene even. Rivers shimmered under the twin suns, mountains rose like jagged teeth, and cities lay neatly mapped in geometric precision. Yet the humans themselves were the wildest element. The Vorin watched a small city near the equator. Its streets were filled with movement, laughter, arguments, and the hum of machines. "They are everywhere," Xylar murmured, "and all of them moving without a predictable pattern. How do they not collide constantly?" Lorvin adjusted the observation lens. "They adapt in real time, see? One almost fell and another shifted to avoid him. They are aware of each other's presence constantly, strange but efficient." In a quiet corner of the observation deck, Jivra, the youngest of the crew, watched with fascination. She was more curious than her elders, less rigid in thought. "I think they are fascinating," she said softly. "Yes, they are chaotic, but they are alive, full of life, even more than we are." Xylar glanced at her, a hint of disapproval in the way his eyes shimmered. "Alive, yes, but they are reckless. If we ever interacted with them directly, they could be dangerous. We must remain cautious." Jivra nodded but did not hide her excitement. "I want to see them up close. I want to understand what makes them tick." Lorvin flicked a limb, signaling the start of a deeper analysis. The ship's sensors activated, scanning the humans below. Data streamed across the monitors. Heart rates, energy levels, movement patterns. Every oddity was noted. "They have unpredictable reactions to stress," Lorvin said, analyzing a report. "Yet they maintain efficiency. Look at this one. They tripped, almost collided with another human, but recovered instantly. Their reflexes. It is remarkable." Xylar's voice was skeptical. "Reflexes alone do not explain why they risk injury for amusement, or why they willingly face danger. Observe the canyon jump they are attempting. They leap without safety measures." Lorvin's eyes glimmered. "It is not fear that drives them. Perhaps courage, or something stronger. Instinct blended with awareness. It is admirable in a strange way." The humans' behavior was confusing. Some of them walked in straight lines, others zigzagged wildly, others sprinted without reason. They shouted to each other, sometimes in anger, sometimes in laughter. Yet somehow the society persisted. Markets operated, children played, machines worked. The chaos was not destructive, it was creative. Jivra leaned closer to the viewport, her heart beating faster. She could see their faces now, expressions full of intensity, joy, frustration, and determination. They are fearless and clever, and they work together without instructions. Even when something goes wrong, they adapt. Sylar made a sound of disapproval. We are not here to admire. We are here to report, record, analyze, keep the mission objective in mind. Do not be swayed by sentiment. But Jivra could not help herself. She whispered, I think there is something the data cannot show. Their spirit. It is not measurable. The Vorin continued their observation over several days. They watched humans eat strange foods, taste hot spices, dance, sing, argue, and celebrate. Every activity seemed illogical yet effective in its own way. Humans repaired broken machinery with quick improvisation. They built shelters with unplanned designs that were surprisingly stable. And through it all they laughed, often at the most unexpected moments. One evening, Lorvin pointed out something extraordinary. Observe the human gathering in the plaza. A small dispute begins, a disagreement over territory in a game. Look at how others respond. They intervene, not with weapons, but with negotiation, persuasion, and strategy. When conflict escalates, they control it without centralized authority. This is efficient, adaptable, unlike anything we know. Sylar huffed. Efficient? They are lucky, not efficient. Random chance does not equal competence, Jivra smiled faintly. Perhaps luck is part of their efficiency. But there is more. Courage, adaptability, creativity. That is why they survive. That is why they thrive. As the Vorin debated, a sudden explosion of sound reached their sensors. A small group of humans in the marketplace had accidentally tipped over a crate, and chaos erupted. People shouted, some tripped, others laughed, and the air was thick with excitement and confusion. The Vorin watched carefully. They respond quickly, Lorvin noted. See how they adjust? Even when accidents happen, they continue with purpose. They do not panic as a species might in our culture. Instead, they integrate errors into their actions. Zylar's multiple eyes narrowed. Perhaps there is merit in this. But they are dangerous. If left unchecked, their recklessness could cause harm to themselves and others. Jivra's excitement grew. Or perhaps it makes them stronger. They learn faster. They adapt faster. And when faced with danger, they do not hesitate. The next day, the Vorin decided to move closer. From orbit, they could only observe. To truly understand humans, they needed to experience them more directly. The decision was made. The ship would descend but remain hidden, and study humans from within the environment itself. The humans of Arden 9 went about their lives, unaware of the silent observers above. Their laughter, courage, and chaos filled the planet, and as the Vorin prepared for a closer look, one thing became clear to Jivra. Humans were unlike any species she had ever known. Insane, perhaps, by her society's standards, but alive, brilliantly, fearlessly alive. For the first time in their history, the Vorin were not just observing life. They were witnessing a force that could not be measured, tamed, or predicted. And in that force, they sensed something both frightening and awe-inspiring, the human spirit. The Vorin spacecraft glided silently through the upper atmosphere of Arden 9. From this height, the planet looked serene, a patchwork of green fields, silver rivers, and neatly arranged human cities. But the crew knew better. They had been observing the humans for days, noting their chaos, creativity, and courage. Now the time had come to descend closer. Inside the ship, Jivra's eyes glimmered with excitement. She leaned over the observation console, watching a bustling city grow larger beneath them. People moved through streets shouting, laughing, and gesturing wildly. Machines hummed and vehicles zipped along paths that seemed unplanned yet efficient. This is it, she whispered. We will finally see them up close. Maybe then we can understand why they behave this way. Zylar's tone was calm, though it carried an edge of warning. Close observation is permitted. Interaction is forbidden. Remember the rules, Jivra. Humans are unpredictable. We do not know how they will react to us. Lorvin, ever the scientist, adjusted the sensors. We will maintain a distance initially. Cloaking mechanisms are fully operational. We will gather more detailed data without exposing ourselves. Observation only, no interference. The spacecraft descended through clouds, the engines silent to human senses. As the humans on the streets moved below, unaware of the invisible watchers above, the Vorin crew took in the details of life in the city. Children played in open squares, chasing each other with shouts of joy. Adults worked, carried goods, argued, or laughed at seemingly small matters. Street performers entertained, drawing crowds that clapped, cheered, and occasionally joined the show. The chaos was constant, yet it carried an underlying rhythm. Humans knew each other's movements instinctively, adapting on the fly. "Look at them," Jivra said softly. "Even in disorder there is order. Even in chaos there is coordination. They are remarkable." Xylar tilted his head. "Remarkable, yes. But still reckless. That is a dangerous combination." Lorvin focused on a group of humans gathered near a small plaza. Two humans argued over what seemed a trivial matter, a disagreement over a market stall's location. Voices were raised, hands gestured, yet no one resorted to lethal action. Other humans stepped in, guiding the dispute toward compromise. "Observe," Lorvin said. "Conflict resolution is instantaneous. No prolonged fights. No extreme retaliation. They have an internal system of balance that does not require centralized authority." Jivra leaned closer. "It is more than balance. They care for each other. They protect each other. Even in disagreement, they do not abandon loyalty." Xylar made a low sound of disapproval. "Care does not replace logic. Their methods are unpredictable. One misstep in chaos could become destructive." As the ship hovered closer, a human noticed something unusual in the sky. Eyes squinted, pointing fingers, and a collective murmur spread across the plaza. People were curious but not panicked. Some ran toward the observation point. Others pulled out small devices that emitted images and sounds. "They are noticing us," Jivra said, heart pounding. Xylar's multiple eyes narrowed. "Maintain cloak. Do not be seen. Observe only." From within the ship, the humans appeared fascinated, their curiosity shining through their expressions. They speculated, pointed, and discussed among themselves, but no one panicked. Their courage, even in the unknown, was remarkable. As evening fell, the Vorin decided to move even closer. The city was preparing for its nightly celebrations, lights illuminating streets, music filling the air, and groups of humans gathering in public squares. This was a perfect opportunity to study social behavior in a natural setting. The spacecraft positioned itself above a large building near the city center. Jivra scanned the crowd with enhanced optics. They are communicating without words at times. Gestures, expressions. It is a language of its own. Even their conflicts are part of social learning. Lorvin nodded. "They are adaptive. Observe the way one human helps another who has stumbled. Quick adjustment. Empathy combined with instinct. This is a combination we do not see in other species." Xylar remained cautious. "Do not anthropomorphize. This is instinct, nothing more. Instinct alone does not justify risk." But Jivra could not hide her fascination. She noticed a small group of humans playing a game near the plaza's fountain. One tripped over a stone, fell into another, and both laughed. The group continued, adjusting rules on the spot, teaching new players, including children, how to participate. Their adaptability was astonishing. "This is why they survive," Jivra whispered. "They improvise, they support each other, and they take risks. But the risks are calculated in ways we cannot measure." As the night grew deeper, a human tavern caught the crew's attention. Its doors were open, music and laughter spilling into the streets. Humans entered and exited, drinks in hand, sharing stories, arguments, and jokes. The Vorin had never observed anything like it. "Humans in controlled social chaos," Lorvin said with fascination. "They interact intensely, emotions run high, yet harm is minimal. They thrive in situations we would consider dangerous." Xylar's voice was stern. "They are still unpredictable. We must not engage." Jivra, however, felt a pull stronger than any protocol. "We are here to understand, to learn. Observing from above is not enough. We need to witness them, up close, to see the courage and intelligence they display in real-time interaction." Lorvin considered this. "A controlled descent near the plaza with full cloaking may provide sufficient data. Minimal risk if we remain invisible." Xylar reluctantly agreed. "Proceed, but maintain distance. Any exposure could be catastrophic." The spacecraft descended quietly to a rooftop near the plaza. From this vantage point, the humans below were more detailed than ever. Faces showed emotion in ways sensors could not fully measure. Laughter, anger, joy, surprise, determination. Each movement was unpredictable yet effective. Jivra's four eyes reflected the humans below. They are fearless, and clever, and cooperative. Even when an accident happens, they adjust immediately. That is something our species rarely does. A sudden event drew their attention. A child ran into the street chasing a small ball, nearly colliding with a vehicle. A passerby grabbed the child just in time and both laughed. The vehicle slowed, its driver amused rather than angry. The humans had a remarkable ability to turn potential danger into amusement and learning. They are resilient, Lorvin said softly. They absorb risk and transform it into advantage. Adaptation in its purest form. Sylar remained unconvinced, still reckless. Too unpredictable to be trusted. But Jivra smiled, her excitement growing. Perhaps that is their greatest strength. The ability to embrace the unknown, adapt instantly and continue forward. They are alive in a way we are not. Hours passed. Humans continued their routines. Some argued, some celebrated, some created art in the streets, some played games of skill and strength. The crew observed everything, recording patterns, noting anomalies, and slowly building an understanding of this strange species. By the end of the night, the Vorin were astonished. Humans were loud, chaotic, and unpredictable, yet their social cohesion, courage, and adaptability allowed them to thrive. The crew realized that humans were more than they had initially assumed. They were not merely reckless or emotional. They were resourceful, resilient, and fearless. As the spacecraft prepared to return to orbit, Jivra whispered one final thought. They are insane, yes. But in their insanity lies brilliance, courage, life. We have much to learn from them. Sylar's voice was calm, but carried a note of respect. Perhaps, but we must remain cautious. Observation only, no interference. That is our mission. Lorvin nodded, eyes still on the humans below. Observation is enough. For now. But we must return. We need more data before any contact. There is more to discover. And with that, the Vorin ship silently lifted off, leaving the glowing city of Arden 9 behind. Humans laughed, argued, celebrated, and lived their unpredictable lives, unaware of the silent eyes watching from above. Yet those eyes had seen something extraordinary. Courage in the face of chaos, intelligence and unpredictability, and a spirit of life unmatched in the galaxy. For the Vorin, the humans were no longer just strange. They were a force to be studied, respected, and perhaps one day understood. And for Jivra, the youngest and most curious of the crew, one thought remained clear. Humans were unlike any species she had ever known, and the deeper she looked, the more she wanted to understand them. The night in Arden 9 was alive with energy. The streets glowed under lanterns, music spilled from every corner, and the laughter of humans filled the air. From the rooftop above a crowded district, the Vorin watched silently, their cloaking devices fully engaged. Tonight, we will see humans in their most natural social environment, Jivra whispered, her excitement barely contained. We will see how they handle conflict. Zylar's multiple eyes scanned the scene with caution. Conflict is dangerous. They are unpredictable, observation only. Lorvin adjusted the sensors, focusing on a particular building, a small tavern known as the Silver Keg. It was a hub of activity. Humans entered and exited in waves, sharing stories, exchanging greetings, and arguing in low tones. The Vorin had already noticed that taverns were centers of human interaction, places where emotions and social bonds intertwined. Inside the tavern, the atmosphere was warm and chaotic. Humans crowded the tables, some playing games, others sharing drinks, and still others engaged in animated conversations. The music was loud, the air thick with excitement, and yet, somehow, the room functioned as a cohesive system of social activity. Jivra's 4 eyes focused on a small group of humans near the back of the tavern. A minor argument had begun, over a spilled drink and a misheard comment. Voices rose, gestures became more intense, and the energy of the group shifted. They are escalating, Lorvin murmured. Watch carefully. This could turn destructive. Zylar made a low clicking sound. Be ready. They may behave irrationally. The argument grew. Chairs scraped across the wooden floor. Shouts echoed off the walls. But the Vorin noticed something fascinating. As the tension increased, the humans adjusted, defended themselves, and protected those around them. No one used lethal force. The chaos was contained even as it seemed explosive. One human, tall and broad-shouldered, stepped between the arguing parties. He raised his hands, spoke rapidly, and used gestures to redirect the energy of the group. Another human helped stabilize the tables and guided smaller humans, children or younger adults, out of harm's way. Jivra's eyes widened. They are controlling chaos with chaos. It looks like insanity, but it is organized. Strategic even. Lorvin nodded, impressed. Coordination without central command. This is remarkable. They improvise constantly, yet maintain social cohesion. We do not see this in our own species. Suddenly, a chair flew across the room. A human dodged instinctively and rolled to safety, then sprang back into the fray. Another human used the momentum to disarm an aggressive participant, redirecting the conflict without harm. The room was a whirlwind of movement, yet injuries were minimal. Xylar's voice was tight. Insane, reckless, dangerous, and yet efficient. Jivra's excitement grew. They are brilliant. They see the risk and act anyway. And they protect each other while doing it. Courage combined with loyalty. This is more than survival instinct. This is intelligence. The fight escalated further. Drinks spilled, tables toppled, and humans slid across the floor, tumbling into one another. Laughter mixed with shouts, creating a symphony of controlled chaos. The Voran crew watched in awe as humans displayed a combination of reflexes, strategy, and empathy that no sensor could fully quantify. One young human leaped from a table, landing perfectly to intercept a thrown bottle. Instead of retaliation, he used the bottle to block a swing, then tossed it harmlessly aside. Another human slid across the floor to catch someone falling, preventing injury with a swift, precise motion. This is adaptation in real time, Lorvin said, barely able to contain her admiration. They are learning from every action as it happens, anticipating responses, adjusting constantly. Incredible. Jivra's 4 eyes sparkled. They are fearless, yes, but also precise. They are not reckless for the sake of recklessness. Every movement has purpose. Even Xylar, usually rigid and skeptical, could not hide a flicker of respect. They are effective. In a way we cannot predict. This is more than observation allows. Perhaps there is merit in their approach. The fight reached its peak. A loud crash echoed as a table splintered, sending food and drink flying. Humans dove, rolled, and sprang into action. But as quickly as it began, it ended. The participants paused, looked at each other, and burst into laughter. Smiles replaced frowns. Hands were shaken, apologies exchanged, and a new round of drinks arrived for everyone involved. Lorvin was astonished. No lingering anger. No resentment. They resolved conflict through engagement, not avoidance. This is social intelligence in its purest form. Jivra nodded. And look, they celebrate it. They learn, they bond, they grow stronger as a community. That is something we cannot teach or plan for. Xylar's multiple eyes were fixed on the humans. They are extraordinary. Perhaps their apparent insanity is a strength, not a weakness. But caution is still required. Exposure could be dangerous. The Voran crew continued to observe as the tavern returned to normal. Music played, games resumed, and conversations picked up again. Humans moved through the room with a fluidity and awareness that seemed impossible. They adapted to each other's movements, protected the weak, and maintained cohesion despite chaos. This is why they survive, Jivra said quietly. They are unpredictable, yes, but they are brilliant in unpredictability. They turn chaos into advantage. They turn risk into strength. They are alive in ways we cannot measure. Lorvin adjusted the sensors to capture every detail. Their methods are not logical in the traditional sense, but they are effective, efficient, adaptive. This is survival evolved through creativity and courage. Xylar, ever cautious, finally spoke in a tone that carried respect. Perhaps we have underestimated them. They are not just chaotic, they are resilient, intelligent, courageous beyond measure. As the night continued, the tavern filled with humans engaging in various forms of social interaction. Jivra's eyes followed each new incident with fascination. A minor dispute in another corner was resolved through clever improvisation. A spilled drink led to an impromptu game. Even mistakes became opportunities for bonding and laughter. They thrive in disorder, Jivra whispered. Their spirit, it is unmatched. They adapt, they protect, and they keep moving forward. Always forward, Lorvin glanced at her. This is remarkable. We have only observed structured environments before. Here, humans thrive without rigid rules. They create order from chaos naturally. They are extraordinary. Xylar remained silent, his eyes reflecting the flickering lights of the tavern below. Even he could not deny the effectiveness of human behavior. They were fearless, resilient, and capable of extraordinary adaptation. The Vorin had come to observe humans as a curiosity. Now they began to see them as a species worthy of respect. The fight ended, but the lessons remained. Humans did not need external control or strict order to function. Their courage, intelligence, and loyalty created natural harmony from chaos. The Vorin realized that they had witnessed something unique, a species that could turn even conflict into a source of strength and connection. As the crew prepared to leave the rooftop and return to orbit, Jivra whispered one final thought: "They are insane, and yet they are incredible. Their bravery, their adaptability, their spirit. It is unmatched. We must study them further." Xylar made a low sound of agreement. Yes, observation only, but respect is deserved. Humans are not merely chaotic. They are powerful in ways we cannot predict. Lorvin nodded. And this is only one tavern, one small incident. Imagine the potential across their entire planet. Their culture, their courage, their creativity. It is extraordinary. The Vorin ship silently lifted off, leaving the humans behind. Inside the tavern, life continued as if nothing had happened. Humans laughed, played, argued, and celebrated. They were unaware of the eyes that had observed their chaos, their courage, and their brilliance. But those eyes had seen something extraordinary. Humans could thrive in chaos, adapt in real time, and bond in ways no other species could. For the Vorin, this night was a revelation. Humans were more than chaotic, they were alive, fearless, and extraordinarily capable. And for Jivra, the most curious of the crew, one thought remained clear. Humans were not just unpredictable. They were heroes of their own lives, capable of turning any situation into an opportunity, any risk into a lesson, and any fight into a display of courage and loyalty. The sun rose slowly over Arden 9, casting a golden glow across the human city. Streets filled once again with the lively movements of humans. Markets opened, children played, and the hum of machines blended seamlessly with human voices. The Vorin spacecraft hovered in orbit, observing from above. But today something was different. The crew had begun to understand the humans, not as chaotic anomalies, but as a species with remarkable intelligence, courage, and social skill. "Look at them," Jivra whispered, her eyes wide. "Even at the start of the day, they are alive, full of energy, full of life." Xylar's multiple eyes focused on a marketplace where humans were arranging goods, negotiating prices, and interacting with each other in constant motion. They are efficient, but not in the way we understand efficiency. It is adaptive, fluid, and unpredictable. Lorvin nodded. Exactly. They do not rely solely on structure or hierarchy. They read each other, adjust to situations, and respond creatively. It is a type of intelligence we rarely see in other species. The Vorin crew focused on a small human family, trying to carry goods from a market stall back to their home. A child dropped a basket, scattering its contents across the street. Immediately, neighbors rushed to help, passing items to each other with speed and care. The child's parents thanked everyone, but no one acted in a way that suggested fear or frustration. Humans simply adapted, recovered, and moved on. Jivra's eyes shone. They do not panic. They solve problems immediately. And they do it together. Xylar's voice was cautious. Coordination without planning is still risky. One mistake could cause injury or loss.
Yet they continue.
Remarkable but unpredictable. As the Vorin watched, an unusual scene unfolded. A human group encountered a small malfunction in a mechanical vehicle. The machine sputtered and halted. Humans approached calmly, discussing and gesturing. One individual quickly identified the problem. Another retrieved tools, and together they fixed the vehicle in moments. Throughout the process, the group communicated constantly, anticipating each other's actions without prior instruction. Lorvin recorded the event, fascinated. This is adaptive teamwork. No directive, no command. They intuitively know how to function as a unit. Jivra smiled, and they do it without fear. They take calculated risks and trust each other completely. That is the key. Trust and courage. Xylar studied the humans from above. It is a form of intelligence we cannot quantify, yet it produces results more efficient than rigid planning in many cases. Later that day, the Vorin crew observed another incident. A street performer had accidentally dropped a large drum in the middle of a busy plaza. Pedestrians would have collided with it, but humans instinctively adapted. Some jumped over it, some guided others around, and a small group lifted the drum just enough to clear a path. No one was hurt. The performer resumed his performance, laughter mixing with applause. "They do not avoid danger, they manage it," Jivra said, her voice filled with admiration. "They face risk, adapt instantly, and keep moving forward." Lorvin adjusted the sensors to capture another layer of human behavior, social learning. A child attempted to mimic the performer's movements. Adults nearby guided the child, demonstrating patience and encouragement. The child learned quickly, not through rigid instruction, but through observation, trial, and feedback. "This is education without formal structure," Lorvin noted. "Learning is embedded in their interactions. Mistakes are tolerated, even celebrated as part of growth." Xylar remained cautious, though his respect grew. Their adaptability is impressive, but it relies heavily on social bonds. Weak or isolated humans may not fare as well, yet collectively they are unstoppable. By mid-afternoon, the Voron decided to observe a different aspect of human life: leisure. Humans gathered in a park where children played games, adults practiced sports, and groups picnicked together. Noise and laughter filled the air. The Voron noted that humans thrived in unstructured environments, turning even simple play into an opportunity for learning, skill building, and bonding. Jivra's excitement was palpable. They are fearless in play, inventive and cooperative. They practice courage even when it seems unnecessary. That courage becomes part of who they are. Lorvin observed a minor disagreement during a game. Two humans argued over the rules. Voices rose, gestures became animated, but the argument ended with a handshake and a compromise. Play resumed immediately, stronger than before. "Conflict is learning," Lorvin said softly. "They do not fear disagreement, they use it to improve and bond." "This is remarkable social intelligence," Xylar made a low hum. "Even in disagreement, their cohesion remains. They manage chaos with a combination of courage, trust, and adaptability. This is unique." The crew then observed a more dangerous scenario. A small human construction site experienced a sudden structural collapse. Workers reacted instantly, guiding colleagues to safety, securing equipment, and improvising to stabilize the area. No one panicked. Every action was purposeful, coordinated, and effective. Jivra leaned closer to the viewport. They face danger and respond immediately. Fear does not stop them. They act with courage, intelligence, and concern for others. "This is bravery beyond calculation," Lorvin added. "It is a combination of adaptability, observation, and social intelligence. They succeed where other species might fail due to fear or hesitation." Xylar, ever the cautious one, finally acknowledged something new. Perhaps their so-called insanity is actually a survival advantage. They turn unpredictability into strength. Risk becomes opportunity. Chaos becomes strategy. As evening approached, the Voron decided to observe human community life. Humans gathered in public spaces for shared meals, music, and storytelling. These gatherings reinforced social bonds, allowed skill sharing, and provided emotional support. The Voron noted that these gatherings were spontaneous yet remarkably organized. Jivra whispered, "They are fearless together. They teach, protect, and encourage. Every interaction strengthens the group. Their courage and intelligence multiply through social connection." Lorvin nodded. "This explains their survival in harsh environments. They rely on courage, trust, and adaptability more than technology or rigid rules. Their strength lies in their spirit as much as their intellect." A small incident caught their attention. A human accidentally dropped a tray of food. Instead of reacting angrily, others assisted immediately, sharing laughter and light conversation. The group's cohesion remained intact, and the human who dropped the tray learned from the experience. "They turn mistakes into opportunities," Jivra said softly. "Even errors make them stronger. They learn, bond, and grow from every event." Xylar's eyes, usually cold and analytical, reflected the human scene below. "Perhaps we have underestimated them. Their adaptability, courage, and intelligence are extraordinary. But observation must continue. We cannot draw conclusions too soon." The night ended with humans gathering at a central plaza for a small festival. Music, dancing, and storytelling filled the area. The Voron crew observed from orbit as humans laughed, played, and interacted without fear. Each human seemed aware of others, anticipating movements, supporting friends, and improvising solutions to small problems. Jivra whispered one final thought. They are not just chaotic. They are courageous, adaptive, and brilliant. Their spirit is unmatched. We have much to learn from them. Lorvin nodded. Observation has revealed a species that thrives in unpredictability, learns from mistakes, and strengthens through social connection. Humans are extraordinary. Sylar remained cautious but respectful. They are unpredictable, yes, but their unpredictability is a strength. Their courage and intelligence are beyond what we expected. They are inspiring. As the Voran ship lifted off from orbit, leaving the glowing human city behind, Jivra reflected on the lessons of the day. Humans were more than chaotic creatures. They were adaptive, resilient, and capable of extraordinary courage and intelligence. Their bravery, social cohesion, and creative problem-solving set them apart from every species the Voran had ever observed. And for the first time, the Voran realized that understanding humans would require more than observation. It would require learning from them, appreciating their courage and respecting the power of their spirit. Humans laughed, argued, played, and lived in their unpredictable, fearless way. And the Voran, watching from above, began to see them not as reckless, but as a species that had mastered the art of thriving in chaos. For Jivra, the most curious of the crew, one truth became undeniable. Humans were not merely survivors, they were masters of adaptation, courage, and life itself. And every day spent observing them revealed more about the extraordinary potential of the human spirit. The night sky over Arden 9 was filled with stars, the twin moons casting a soft glow across the city. The humans were busy as always, streets alive with laughter, music, and movement. But this evening, the Voran spacecraft had moved closer than ever before. For the first time, the crew considered full contact, guided by curiosity, respect, and a newfound understanding of humans. Inside the ship, Jivra stared at the city below, her four eyes reflecting the lights and movements of countless humans. "We have observed enough," she said softly. "We have seen their courage, their intelligence, their spirit. It is time they see us, carefully, respectfully." Zylar's multiple eyes flicked to her, a mix of caution and reluctant agreement in his gaze. "Contact is risky. Humans are unpredictable. But perhaps our presence will not be seen as a threat if we approach slowly and peacefully." Lorvin nodded. "We have cloaking active, translation devices prepared, and protocols in place. Minimal exposure. Observation now will transition into interaction. Only enough to allow understanding. No interference." The spacecraft descended silently to a quiet plaza near the center of the city. Humans moved about below, unaware of the alien presence above. Jivra activated the external cloaking shimmer to fade slowly, revealing the Voran only to a select few who were looking upward with curiosity. The first humans to notice the Voran were startled, eyes wide, mouths opening in surprise. Yet there was no panic. Humans were curious creatures. Their courage and adaptability were evident even in these initial moments. A tall human stepped forward, raising a hand in greeting. Others mirrored the gesture, slowly approaching without aggression. The Voran, sensing the humans' openness, responded with calm gestures of their own. Hands raised, bodies relaxed, and harmonious tones emitted from the translation devices. Jivra's heart raced. They are not afraid. They are welcoming. "This is extraordinary," Sylar observed carefully. "Humans assess risk instantly. They are analyzing us, yet choosing curiosity over fear. This aligns with everything we have observed. Courage and intelligence are intertwined in their species." The humans began asking questions, speaking in a language that the translation devices interpreted into the harmonic tones of the Voran. The crew answered in turn, providing simple explanations of who they were, their purpose, and their fascination with humans. Lorvin recorded every response, noting not just the words but the human behavior. Gestures, expressions, laughter, and curiosity were all part of the communication. Humans laughed at moments that were meant to ease tension, smiled at explanations, and even made friendly gestures toward the Voran. "They are brilliant," Jivra whispered. "Even in first contact, they display social intelligence, empathy, and courage. They assess unknown situations and respond with openness. No other species behaves like this." Sylar's voice softened, a rare tone of admiration. We have underestimated humans for centuries. Their unpredictability is not a weakness, it is a strength. Their courage, intelligence, and adaptability surpass expectation. As the night unfolded, humans invited the Vorin to observe their social rituals. Drinks were offered, stories shared, and songs performed. Humans laughed at their own mistakes, included the Vorin in simple games, and showed a level of hospitality that was astonishing to the logical and cautious crew. Lorvin noted, "They integrate strangers into their society immediately, assessing trust and cooperation instinctively. Social cohesion is built on courage and empathy, not rigid rules. This is extraordinary," Jivra smiled. "And they have fun doing it. Even amidst chaos, they find joy. They live fully, bravely, and with purpose. That is the essence of life." Xylar observed a small conflict between two humans over a game. Rather than escalating, the humans laughed, negotiated, and resumed play with compromise. The Vorin saw the same principle they had witnessed in taverns. Markets and streets applied here. Conflict as opportunity, risk as strength, and courage as foundation. "This is a society built not on fear but on bravery," Xylar said, "on adaptability, on the ability to thrive in unpredictability. Humans have mastered chaos and turned it into a tool for growth and unity." The night deepened. Humans began to sing songs of history, heroism, and survival. Stories of challenges overcome, dangers faced, and victories earned filled the air. The Vorin listened, fascinated by how humans celebrated life and resilience. Each story reflected courage, loyalty, and creativity, qualities the Vorin had never fully appreciated until now. Jivra reflected quietly. Humans are fearless in ways we cannot calculate. They do not merely survive, they flourish. They turn every risk into opportunity, every challenge into learning, every fight into unity. That is why they are extraordinary. Lorvin added, "Their unpredictability is a strength. Their courage amplifies intelligence. Their social bonds multiply effectiveness. Humans are not just resilient, they are masters of adaptation and life itself." Xylar, normally rigid and analytical, finally spoke with sincere admiration. "Our reports have underestimated them. They are not only capable of surviving in extreme conditions, but they thrive. Their spirit, courage, and creativity make them unmatched. They are a species to respect, perhaps even to learn from." As the humans continued their celebrations, the Vorin crew decided it was time to leave. The contact had been successful. Humans had shown courage, curiosity, and openness. The Vorin had gained respect and understanding far beyond what observation alone could provide. Jivra whispered as the ship began to ascend, "We have learned so much. They are fearless, brilliant, and alive in ways we cannot measure. The galaxy would do well to recognize the human spirit." Lorvin nodded. "This experience will change how we report humans. They are not merely chaotic or unpredictable. They are courageous, intelligent, adaptive, and socially capable. They are extraordinary." Xylar remained thoughtful. "And they do all this willingly, without coercion, without fear of the unknown. Their bravery is innate. Their creativity and loyalty make them stronger as a species than logic alone could achieve. Humans are inspiring." As the Vorin ship disappeared into the night sky, leaving Arden 9 glowing below, the humans continued to celebrate life, unaware of the profound impression they had left on the alien observers. They laughed, sang, danced, and shared stories, thriving in their unpredictability, fearless in their actions, and united by courage and loyalty. The Vorin sent their final report back to their homeworld. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but their unpredictability is a strength. They face danger without hesitation. They adapt instantly. They thrive in chaos. Their courage, loyalty, and intelligence are unmatched. We recommend recognition of the human species as extraordinary and worthy of respect. Observation only is insufficient. They are masters of life itself." Jivra sat quietly, reflecting on the journey. "We came to study them because we thought they were insane, but we leave knowing they are extraordinary. Their spirit, bravery, and adaptability are beyond anything we have ever seen." Xylar made a final note in the ship's log. "Humans are a species of heroes in their own right. Their strength lies not in technology alone, but in courage, loyalty, and the ability to turn chaos into opportunity. We have underestimated them for too long. That must change." As Arden 9 continued to glow under the twin moons, the Vorin departed, carrying a newfound respect for a species that laughed in the face of danger. embraced the unknown and thrived in unpredictability. Humans had shown the Voron, and through their report, the galaxy, the true power of courage, adaptability, and the human spirit. For Jivra, one thought lingered above all others as the ship sailed into the stars. Humans were not just survivors, they were heroes. Not because they were perfect, but because they were brave, inventive, and alive in a way no other species could match. The galaxy might one day come to know humans as reckless or chaotic. But to the Voron, after this night, humans were something far greater, inspiring, fearless, and utterly extraordinary.